kitchen window a couple of evenings ago when Dad came home late with the latest batch of guests. He was taller than most of them. Not older, but taller, sturdier. He had a very distinct jawline that made him look the way American soldiers used to in films, square-jawed. They both stood stock still, eyeing each other. "You're not allowed out," she said with a haughty look, although she knew there was no point. None of that lot in the basement ever spoke any Swedish. Since he did not move or say anything, she sighed and went back to picking her flowers. Harebell, ox-eye daisy. Behind her, he was on the move slowly. She glanced furtively back and wondered where he could be going, saw that he had come closer. She and her family had only ever been abroad on one occasion. Just once they went on a normal package holiday, sunbathing and swimming in the Canaries. The streets were teeming with stray dogs that ran after the tourists. Their dad got very good at chasing them away. "Shoo!" he would roar, throwing a stone in some other direction. It worked every time. The dog left them and went chasing after the stone he'd thrown. The man in the meadow reminded her of the stray dogs. There was something unpredictable in his eyes, something indecipherable. Maybe anger, too. She was suddenly unsure what he would do next. Throwing a stone did not seem an option. One glance toward the house confirmed what she already knew, that her parents and sister had taken the car into town to get some fresh fish for the celebration dinner. Another ludicrous so-called tradition her parents had invented to preserve their image of a normal family. As always, she said she didn't want to go with them, preferring to pick her flowers in peace and quiet. "What do you want?" she asked irritably. Irritably, and with a growing sense of alarm. There was nothing wrong with her instincts. She recognized the scent of real danger. And this time, all her senses were telling her she'd got to take control of the situation. The flower stalks felt rough in her hand as she clasped them tight. She only had one left to pick, a humble daisy, a weed with pretensions, her dad liked to call it. The man took a few more steps toward her. Then he just stood there, a few meters from her. A broad, sneering grin spread slowly across his face, and at that moment she knew what he had come for. Her legs were quicker than her thoughts. Her spinal reflex signaled menace, and at the same instant she broke into a run. The edge of the garden was less than 100 meters away. She shouted for help again and again. Her piercing cries soaked into the silence of the meadow. The dry earth muffled the sound of her springing steps and the heavy thud as he brought her down after only 20 meters' flight. Almost as if he had known from the outset that she wouldn't get away and had just let her run for the thrill of the chase. She fought like an animal as he tossed her over onto her back and wrenched at her clothes, so forceful and methodical that her overheated brain registered that this was something he must have done before. And when it was all over, and she lay there, weeping in the hollow their bodies had made in the green depths, she knew this was something to which she could never reconcile herself. In her clenched fist, every knuckle raw from her hopeless fight, she was still clutching the summer nosegay. She dropped it as if it were burning her fingers. The flowers were entirely redundant now. She already knew whose face she would see in her dreams. When her parents' car pulled up outside the house, she was still lying in the meadow, unable to get up. The clouds looked as though they were playing a clumsy game in the blue sky. The world seemed unchanged, though her own was shattered forever. She lay there in the meadow until they realized she was missing and came out to look for her. And by the time they found her, she had already become another person. The present. Though he giveth or he taketh, our Father his children ne'er forsaketh. His the loving purpose solely to preserve them pure and holy. Friday, February 22, 2008. Stockholm. Unaware that he would soon be dead, he delivered his final lecture with great enthusiasm and commitment. Friday had been a long day, but the hours had passed quickly. His audience was attentive, and it warmed Jakob Albin's heart that so many people besides himself were interested in the subject. When he realized, just a few days later, that all was lost, he would briefly